Hey guys!
Hi.
Welcome to Bible Fun with the Duns. Today we read Psalms chapters 11, 12, and 13. In chapter 11, David wrote this psalm while running from Saul and all the assassins or people who were chasing after him to kill him, and he was trying to hunt him down. David tells God that even though he's having lots of trouble, he's under attack, and his life seems really hard, he knows that he can trust in God. In chapter 12, David's talking to God about how sad he is that there doesn't seem to be many righteous people in the whole world. Around him, he sees liars. He sees people who are quick to believe those lies and enjoy hearing them. He sees prideful people. He even sees people who don't even care about the poor and the needy. He prays to God for these people to not continue on in their wickedness. And then in chapter 3, we see David has those messy feelings again, like we talked about yesterday. He feels like God has forgotten him and that he's hiding his face from him. But then by the end of the chapter, he reminds himself of the truth. And he says in verses 5 and 6, "But I've trusted in your steadfast love. My heart shall rejoice in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord because he has dealt bountifully with me." So guys, what were your takeaways from today? John, what was yours?
Mine was, okay, here it is. The Lord is a holy temple. The Lord, his throne is in heaven. His eyes watch, his gaze examines everyone. The Lord examines the righteousness, but he hates the wicked.
Very good. So that was chapter 11, verse 4. Why is that your favorite, buddy?
Okay, so it shows us that God is always in charge, even when there's hard times.
That's exactly right. No matter what's going on around us, God is always on his throne. He's always in charge. He's always in control. So if you are having a hard time in your life, if the world around you seems crazy, you can always trust that no matter how bad it gets or whatever's going on, God is always in charge and he's always in control. Jax, what was your takeaway this week?
My takeaway was when David was going through those really hard times, like the assassins and the murderers, like you said. And then he reminded himself that God was in charge. And he said that God was up in heaven watching over everything from his throne. And that reminds us that God has a plan and he's in charge of everything.
Exactly. And my takeaway is kind of along those same lines. At the end of chapter 13, when David is having those messy feelings, he stops himself and he says, "I've trusted in your steadfast love. My heart shall rejoice in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord because he has dealt bountifully with me." Today, in this chapter, David models another way that we can help ourselves when we have those messy feelings. Yesterday, we talked about when we have those conflicting or opposite feelings, and we talked about the importance of reading the Bible to know the truth. That our feelings can be a mess and our feelings can even lie to us. And so we read the Bible to know the truth. And then today, David models out another thing that we can do. David thinks back on his life and he remembers and he reminds himself of what God has done for him. Sometimes when our feelings are a mess, we must preach the gospel to ourselves. The Bible tells us to go and tell others the good news. And sometimes we are others. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves of the good news. When we walk around in this world, if the world around us seems to have way more wicked people than righteous people, we may need to remind ourselves of the good news and the truth of the Bible. And the way that we can preach the gospel to ourselves, we can do that through reading the Bible, and we can do that through remembering and reminding ourselves of what God has done in our very own lives, our testimonies. So some questions for y'all to talk about with your family. Number 1, do you feel like you can always trust God? Number 2, what are some things that you can remember that God has done in your life? And then number 3, when you remember what God has done in your life, does that help you to trust in him? All right, friends, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We can't wait to see you tomorrow, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.